We are continuing to live in a world with a deep and profound mindset to follow the devil. And they're not realizing the catastrophic effects on their souls. In the book of Joshua, in chapter 24, verse 15, but if serving the Lord seems undesirable to you, then choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve, whether the gods of your ancestors served beyond the Euphrates or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you are living. But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord. So we have those in our world that are serving the ungodly. It's like the slave being owned by the slave owner and being told something that is not godly, that is not right, that is not the truth. Yet those slaves follow every time that slave master or that slave owner tell them what to do, and they do it without having the Lord as their guide. That is what we're witnessing throughout this world. We see it in our everyday lives, and people will continue to follow the wrong pattern. It's like animals being led to slaughter without realizing that they're being slaughtered, thinking that they're in good hands, and they're following the pattern of this world. We need to never be lacking in zeal, as in the book of Romans in chapter 12, verse 11. Never be lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual fervor serving the Lord. We need to be anchored in the Lord. We need to desire serving the Lord wholeheartedly as we live each and every day of our lives. The Lord will guide us. The Lord will show us wisdom and understanding that we'll be able to press forward in this physical life, in this spiritual life, being with Him, connected in spirit, connected in our souls, connected in our hearts, in our minds, in our judgments, in our thoughts. In everything that we do, we need to serve the Lord with zeal and never look back. Don't allow this world to show you the unwise, the unrighteous, the evilness that persists in this world. We need to fear the Lord. And right now, we're not fearing the Lord. We're fearing man. We're fearing the opposite of who we need to fear. We need to live for the Lord. In the book of Deuteronomy, in chapter 10, verses 12 and 13, Moses wrote about, and now Israel, what does the Lord your God ask of you but to fear the Lord your God? We need to fear God, to walk in obedience in Him. See, when we fear the Lord, we're going to walk in obedience in Him, not man, not someone that shows up every 4 years, coming into your neighborhoods, coming into your churches, coming into your social environments, or some other means to communicate with the world and share some things with you that are not godly, that is not truth. It's just to share messages to get you hooked into believing that what they're talking about will be good for them. But he said to walk in obedience in him, to love him, and to serve the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and to observe the Lord's commands and decrees that I am giving you today for your own good. For your own good. Serving the Lord is for your own good. Serving the Lord is for your own soul. Are you ready to turn your life over to the Lord? We need to fear the Lord. In the book of 1 Samuel, in chapter 12, verse 24, we'll continue with understanding the fear of the Lord, but to be sure to fear the Lord and to serve him faithfully with all your heart. Consider what great things he has done for you. Think about what the Lord has done for you. And that can be difficult sometimes. And in many cases, when we look at our lives, we're thinking we don't have enough food. We don't have enough clothes. We don't have enough transportation. We don't have enough of a variety of things. But the Lord gives us things that many people around this world do not have. There are those that do not have shoes. There are those that do not have clothes. There are those that do not have a roof over their heads. There are those who do not have cars. They don't know where their next meal would be. I remember traveling not long ago, and I remember sitting into a nice hotel, and I saw this gentleman unpack his bags for that night. And his home was in the busy street in Washington, D.C. That was his home, that environment. So he placed his sleeping bag and had to deal with all that traffic throughout that night. But that was his home. That was his place of rest. Not where I was at, comfortable in a hotel room. So we need to be thinking about that. We need to think about how we need to worship the Lord. In the book of Exodus, in chapter 23, verse 25, Moses wrote about worship the Lord your God, and his blessing will be on your food and water. I will take away sickness among you. God can do the impossible. God can guide your life. God can protect your life. God can show you the path when it looks dark and bleak in your life. But you have to trust him. You have to be anchored in him. You have to believe him. You have to walk in his ways. You have to walk in newness of life through baptism and living faithfully. We need to know what his commands are and observe them fully. In the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 8, verse 6, observe the commands of the Lord your God, walking in obedience to him, revering him. See, people are revering people. People are obedient to other people, looking at what they can get out of this world. With God, serve him wholeheartedly, and he will show you the way that you need to go, regardless of what is going on in this world right now. The Lord can guide your soul. The Lord can protect you. But you have to be anchored in him. You have to trust him fully and not of this world. We need to understand this. And we need to know what the devil is trying to do with our souls and rip apart our minds and our hearts to not serve him. In the book of Matthew, in chapter 6, verse 24, no one can serve two masters. Either you hate the one and love the other, or you be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. You can't serve both God and the world, the things of this world, the value of this world. You need to serve the Lord. You need to live for him. You need to be anchored and fully embedded to serve him and know who he is. Learn to walk in his ways. We need to rejoice in the Lord. In the book of Philippians, in chapter 4, verse 4, Paul wrote, "Rejoice in the Lord always. I say it again, rejoice." The pain that you're going through right now, the suffering that you're going through right now, the sadness that you're going through right now, the anxiety that you're going through right now, the depression as you're going through right now, you need to always rejoice in the Lord. Find your strength, find everything in the Lord wholeheartedly. In the book of Psalm, in chapter 54, verse 4, surely God is my help. The Lord is the one who sustains me. It is the Lord who will guide your life, not this world, not what someone tells you when they feel that they need you for something. Every soul needs the Lord. Every soul. And the time is right now. So we can learn to humble ourselves before the Lord. In the book of James, in chapter 4, verse 10, James wrote, we need to humble ourselves before the Lord and he will lift you up. It's not the world that's going to lift you up. It's not someone telling you every 4 years or on a certain frequency, come, listen to me. I have all the answers. I'm going to take care of you. Your life will be bright in me. We need to serve the Lord. We need to do it with a level of seriousness. We need to think about our souls. We need to think about getting to heaven. And the time is always in this precious moment to serve the Lord for his everlasting kingdom, for his everlasting presence, for eternity.